What's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, and today is day number 22. There we go. I don't know what I was doing with my hands there. Of my 32 straight days, previewing the 32 NFL teams ahead of the 2020 NFL season. If you haven't watched the first 21 episodes, the link to the full playlist is, as always, down below in the description. This episode, we'll be looking at the New Orleans Saints, who, in the last 3 years, have been rather unlucky, at least in the playoffs. After going 11-5 in 2017, they lost in the NFC Divisional Round to the Minnesota Vikings on the Minneapolis Miracle. Remember that remarkable play by Stephon Diggs late in the game on the sideline? The call is electric. I mean, you got to know it. Then they went 13-3 in 2018, but then lost in the NFC Championship game to the Los Angeles Rams because of a missed pass interference call. And in 2019, people thought it would be different, including myself. And as you probably know, unless you were living under a rock, it was not. The Saints last season went once again 13-3, but lost in the NFC wildcard round to the Minnesota Vikings in overtime. And there might have been a blown pass interference call on Vikings tight end Kyle Rudolph, an inadvertent push-off. That's a kind of more difficult one to tell. There's it's a gray area. There we go. But the Vikings, once again, despite having one of the great offenses in the league, the Saints didn't even get a chance on offense because the Vikings scored on their first drive in overtime, which I think is a rule that needs to be changed. Neither here nor there. Drew Brees is back once again. There were rumors of him retiring, but he turned 41 back in January, and the question is now, how much does he have left in the tank? Jameis Winston was brought in to replace Teddy Bridgewater as the primary backup, and then they still have Taysom Hill, who will serve also as Brees' backup, but more as a gadget guy, as we've seen in recent years. By the way, Taysom Hill, what he's done with his career is really awesome. His story is amazing. Quarterback at BYU got hurt. Kudos to him. I think we're going to see more players like him in the NFL. Quarterbacks who could also be guys like wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, special teamers. They tried doing that with Tim Tebow when he was on the Jets. That failed. Taysom Hill, that's working. Jalen Hurts, I think, can do that in Philadelphia, but that's a different episode. But regardless, I don't think Winston and Hill could really carry this team if Brees were to miss a significant period of time, and I'm talking 8+ games. Sure, Bridgewater went 5-0 last season when Brees was hurt with that hand injury, but they were also so I believe 5-0 counts the Rams game that Brees started, and also I don't think they played great opponents, if I'm not mistaken. So who really knows there? Jameis Winston, the guy, just went 30 for 30, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, the first player ever to do so. So who knows? There's another issue regarding Brees, though. As you may recall, Brees made some comments regarding protesting the national anthem, specifically kneeling during the anthem, saying he would never do it, and he wouldn't understand why other people do it, or something along those lines. I don't want to get his words twisted. And although he apologized and his teammates say it was all good, everything's fine, there was somewhat of a rift created in that Saints locker room, and that could be a hindrance to them having success in 2020. Guys like Malcolm Jenkins, Michael Thomas, Cameron Jordan all spoke out against their quarterback for his comments, and they could say, oh yeah, we're all kumbaya, we've come together. Who knows? That could boil over. If things don't go well for the Saints, that could boil up and just only derail this team even further if they start off poorly. Looking at the team, however, they got one of the most complete rosters in the entire NFL, in my opinion. They got Brees at quarterback, Michael Thomas coming off a record-breaking season for a wide receiver in history, breaking the single-season catch record. Alvin Kamara, he had a down year in 2019, dealing with a bunch of ankle injuries and some back injuries, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's looking for a bounce-back year. Guy I'm really high on to have a big year, personally. I will take him in fantasy football. Jared Cook had somewhat of a resurgence at tight end. And the Saints also signed Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason, who to give Brees another wide receiver target outside of Thomas, because let's be real here. Outside of Thomas last year, some of the guys, they were A, no names, and B, they were just very poor production. My one concern is Thomas broke the single-season catch record. Who says he can't do that again? So where's the targets going to come? Who are they taking? Like, are they going to take targets away from Thomas to feed Sanders and Cook and Kamara because they all had down years? Or is Emmanuel Sanders just going to be a decoy guy? Is Jared Cook just going to be a decoy? So I'm a little concerned there. It would be interesting to see what Sean Payton draws up. Also, one other point of note. Saints offensive line, really good, led by guys like Ryan Ramczyk, and I believe Max Unger's still on that team, Andrews Pete. It's one other guy whose name I can't remember. Oh, well, neither here nor there. So, very solid offensive line. And they also got Latavius Murray in the backfield alongside Kamara. I think that was part of the issue as well. Alvin Kamara started his career as the 1B to Mark Ingram's 1A. Ingram left in free agency to Baltimore. And sure, the injuries played a factor, but I think that played a factor as well in Kamara's slight drop-off. So maybe we'll see a bigger role for Latavius Murray in this coming season. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, Cameron Jordan, an anchor on that defensive line alongside Sheldon Rankins, Marcus Davenport, and Malcolm Brown. Demario Davis balled out last season at linebacker. And then in the secondary, Janoris Jenkins, after a few not-so-great years in New York, performed well last season for New Orleans in just 3 games. He will play alongside Malcolm Jenkins, Marcus Williams, and arguably one of the top cornerbacks in the entire NFL in Marshawn Lattimore. The Saints also have one of the best special teams units in the NFL. Thomas Morstead is a legend of a punter, and he's still really good. Will Lutz has shown his clutch ability at kicker. And then Deontay Harris is a guy, when he gets in the open field, watch out, he's gone. He's got immense speed, similar to that of Cordell Patterson, early 2010s, and then Devin Hester in the mid-2000s. So maybe this is the year that Sean Payton and his Saints squad finally crack through and get to the NFC Championship game and win, make it to a Super Bowl, win their second Super Bowl in franchise history. But they will have to quiet the noise around them. There are going to be a lot of things going on, talking about Brees' age, if there are any possible rifts in this locker room, like I mentioned. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Looking at the full New Orleans schedule, which will be down below in the description with my win-loss projections, I have the Saints seeing a lot similar success as they did last season. I have them winning their first 7 games, weeks 1 through 8, as they had their bye week 6. They win against Tampa Bay week 1. I mean, this game everyone's looking forward to, but I'm a little weary about this particular matchup simply because the craziness of this offseason. 14 days in padded practices. Sure, the Buccaneers have practiced together all summer. We've seen the Instagram photos, but there's a lot different when you're just playing in shorts and a t-shirt, throwing the ball around, running plays, than in a game situation. Sure, Brady's one of the great quarterbacks ever, but this is also a game in New Orleans, and we know that Brees plays significantly better at home than he does on the road. Week 2 versus Las Vegas, I mean, come on. The Raiders are going to stink, in my opinion. Green Bay, that's an interesting one. I think Aaron Rodgers versus Drew Brees is going to be fun to watch. I mean, the core 3 of the Packers versus the core 3 of the Saints in Rodgers, Adams, Jones for Green Bay, Brees, Thomas, Kamara for New Orleans will be really fun. I ultimately think that the Saints defense will be able to make one more play than the Packers defense, without question. Week 4 at Detroit. I'm not too high on this year. Week 5 versus the Chargers, another team that could maybe pull out an upset, but unlikely. Week 6, they have their bye week. Week 7 versus the Panthers, and Week 8 versus the Bears. I mean, really light, easy schedule when you look at it for the Saints. There are really only 2 challenges will come Week 1 and Week 3 against Tampa and Green Bay. Then they go Week 9 at Tampa Bay. This one, I do have the Saints getting their first loss. Actually, I've been going their first 2 losses in Week 9 and 10, losing to Tampa Bay and San Francisco, simply because, I mean, going on the road to Tampa Bay, you don't know what the weather is going to be like. I think Tom Brady and co. will have a little bit more time to get acclimated in actual game scenarios, so I think they will come out swinging in that one. And then Week 10 versus San Francisco, I mean, we saw these 2 teams, the Saints and the 49ers, go down to the wire last season in New Orleans. It was an electric game, and the 49ers ultimately ended up winning that game. Why can't they do the same here? They are clearly the top dog in the NFC, or at least the favorite, in my opinion. Week 11 versus Atlanta at home. Win right there. Atlanta does look to be really good on offense, but once again, being at home helps. Week 12 at Denver. So this is an interesting one simply because, given the altitude at Denver, Brees will have the capability to sling it all over the field, and Denver's got a really good defense. But I think the inexperience of some of those guys on the Denver Broncos team could come back to bite them. Like, looking at the Broncos roster, their backup quarterback is Jeff Driscoll. If Drew Lock struggles, the Saints could feast on that one. Week 13 at Atlanta, this is a loss, so that's the Saints' 3rd and final loss, in my opinion, going 13-3. They're going in the middle of a gauntlet stretch. From weeks 9 to 16, they play Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Atlanta, Denver, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Minnesota. There's just got to be a loss coming somewhere. Week 14 at Philadelphia, that's a win, in my opinion. The Eagles are good, but I don't think they're as good as the Saints. Week 15 versus Kansas City. I mean, this is an interesting one just because of the old guard in Brees versus the new guard in Patrick Mahomes. I keep flip-flopping on this one, honestly. I have the Saints winning this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs pull out a win easily here just because, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes is just that good. It all depends on injury for me for that one. That one will be interesting as I'm messing with this pencil, I think. I don't know. And then Week 16 versus Minnesota, a Christmas Day game, which is really exciting for me. Rematch of 2 of the last 3 playoffs. So I think the Saints are going to come out swinging here, looking to take down the Vikings, and I think they ultimately will. And then finally, they close out the year, Week 17 against Carolina. This could be a game that they lose simply because they're resting everyone. I think the Saints are going to wrap up a first-round bye. They'll finish 13-3, second in the entire NFC, and hopefully they can make it a deep playoff run once again. Looking at their schedule, 5 games I'm most looking forward to. Week 3 versus the Packers. I mean, I mentioned the trios on both sides for the Packers and the Saints. So it should be interesting how that dynamic plays out, but ultimately the Saints defense will pull out ahead. Week 9 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I mentioned, sure, everyone's looking at the Week 1 matchup, but I'm more so looking for this matchup where both teams will have a good portion of their season done with, and we could really see how they stack up. Week 13 against Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta looks to be really good on offense. It'll be a nice way to see how this defense stacks up against a solid offense. And then Week 15 against Kansas City, like I mentioned. Old guard in Brees versus the new guard in Mahomes. This is going to be a shootout. It's going to be one where you're going to want to sit in a comfy chair like the one I have right here and just watch this game in full. You might not want to get up at all. And then finally, Week 16 versus Minnesota. I mean, the Saints, they've gotten robbed twice by the Vikings now. I think they want to bash this team into the ground because a lot of the guys from that 2017 and 2019 rosters are still on the Saints 2020 roster. So wouldn't be surprised if the Saints try to just demolish the Vikings. But let me know what y'all think down below in the comment section. I know this has been a little bit longer of a video, but the Saints are one of the major storylines entering this 2020 season. Will the Saints finally make it through to a Super Bowl, or is Drew Brees' career just done? Will this be his last year? I don't know. Leave your comments down below. Thank y'all so much for watching. And until next time, have a great day. Next episode will be the New York Football Giants, so that should be a good one. Thank you all so much for watching once again.